The extent to which Donald has turned the Department of Justice into a partisan revenge machine is becoming more and more obvious. He's abusing his power, violating his oath, and betraying the Constitution. And he has the Attorney General of the United States on down helping him in those efforts. And yet, even as the Trump regime tramples our rights, they keep tripping over their own incompetence. Recently, the New York Times Magazine released a piece detailing the chaos, partisanship, and fear reigning at the DOJ during Donald's second term. In the report, we learn that in the past year, over 200 career attorneys have been fired from the department and thousands have resigned. Through interviews with over 60 former DOJ lawyers, the article lays out a pattern. The Trump regime repeatedly overrides normal legal processes to punish Donald's enemies and to protect him while enforcing his agenda. Some of the extra legal, unconstitutional, and just downright corrupt actions have included pardoning January 6 rioters, gutting public corruption, and civil rights enforcement. The Trump regime has also pressured prosecutors at the DOJ to drop or pursue cases based on Donald's political agenda while ignoring ethics rules. Career lawyers say they were ordered to dismiss or weaken strong cases, from police misconduct and racial discrimination to foreign bribery and environmental protections. They were also directed to defend legally questionable executive orders and to treat the DOJ's mission as quote unquote zealously defending Donald rather than upholding and defending the Constitution, which is how it's supposed to work. One of the former officials interviewed for that expose was former pardon attorney Liz Oyer. Oyer alleges that the Trump regime fired her for refusing to restore gun owning rights to the actor Mel Gibson. Gibson has a domestic violence conviction that prohibits him from owning firearms, but he's one of Donald's allies. Oyer spoke to CNN about her firing back in March. Take a look at what she had to say.
The request was made, and I responded that I was unable to fulfill the request because I did not have enough information about Mr. Gibson to be able to recommend that, given his history of domestic violence, he should receive his gun rights back. That's something that is a public safety question. It's very dangerous to mix people with history of domestic abuse and firearms. That substantially increases the likelihood of catastrophic outcomes in domestic violence situations, and that was just not a recommendation that I could make lightly.
So how long between when you sent that response saying you could not in good faith recommend Mel Gibson and the time you were fired?
It all unfolded very quickly. I was asked to add him to my recommendation on Thursday evening, and I did not sleep at all Thursday night because I understood that the consequence of not fulfilling this request was likely that I would no longer even be in these conversations. Dissent within the Department of Justice is just being aggressively silenced. People are afraid to speak up. They're afraid to object. I confided in a colleague who expressed the view that yes is really the only acceptable answer to requests that are being made by department leadership. And so I understood that the consequences were potentially serious for my career at the Department of Justice. And when I came into work on Friday morning, I said to a colleague, I really think that Mel Gibson might be my downfall. And within hours of saying that, I was being escorted out of my office.
These kinds of things have happened dozens, if not hundreds of times since Donald got back into office on January 20th. The DOJ has been gutted. The one-storied civil rights division has been decimated. Career line prosecutors have been fired or reassigned to do meaningless menial tasks, all because they believe in upholding the rule of law, and that doesn't fly in the Trump regime. Here's a specific example of Donald's using the DOJ for his own selfish and corrupt ends. In the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Florida, 2 career prosecutors just resigned in objection to what they viewed as an unethical, politically driven grand conspiracy investigation. Appointed by Donald, U.S. Attorney Jason Redding Quinones called an office-wide meeting after the departures. This comes as prosecutors in the office fear pressure to work on a case with a wide list of targets, including former President Barack Obama, former CIA Director John Brennan, former FBI agent Peter Strzok, and former DOJ lawyer Lisa Page. All of these people Donald considers to be his political enemies. Last week, the Justice Department approved at least 30 subpoenas tied to this probe, despite the fact that these same individuals were already investigated twice by John Durham and the DOJ Inspector General during the Biden administration, with no evidence of wrongdoing having been found. Former U.S. Attorney Barbara Quaid spoke to MS Now, until recently MSNBC, about the irregularities of this case. Take a look.
Sounds to me like this executive U.S. attorney is going to be leading whatever this effort is into this conspiracy investigation. But I do think it's noteworthy that this is not being handled the way a routine case would be handled for a violation of the law. Instead, it is being handled as a special case with a high-level executive member of the team handling this. The other thing that I thought was noteworthy about the reporting is that the grand jury to be impaneled is going to be in Fort Pierce, Florida. That, of course, is the district, the portion of the district, the Southern District of Florida, that has one and only one judge, and that judge is Aileen Cannon. I don't know that we should be suspicious of everything Judge Aileen Cannon does, but we do know that her track record in the Mar-a-Lago case with the documents was first to impose some really extraordinary hoops for the prosecutors to go through at the time of the search. And then, of course, the dismissal of the case, finding the special counsel regulations to be unconstitutional, contrary to every other court that's looked at it. So I think there is reason to be very concerned about the irregularities that are occurring in this office.
Aileen Cannon, Donald's personal pocket judge, is as corrupt a hack as you can imagine. The fact that this case is being investigated in her district kind of tells us that the fix is in. But before we go on, we cannot sit by silently while Donald's DOJ dismantles our rule of law. So please like and share this video. And if you believe in our mission, please subscribe to the Mary Trump Media channel. Now let's take a look at the Trump regime's gross incompetence in action. The Associated Press reports that a federal magistrate judge has reprimanded the DOJ for serious investigative missteps in the prosecution of former FBI Director James Comey. Judge William Fitzpatrick found, quote, fundamental misstatements of the law, unquote, the use of possibly privileged communications and irregularities in the grand jury transcript. The judge said all of this may have undermined the integrity of the grand jury that indicted Comey. Fitzpatrick ordered prosecutors to give Comey's defense team full access to the grand jury materials, an extreme step he said was justified by the severity of the government's errors. Yes, that's right. The indictment of Comey is already suspect. And as if we needed any more proof, it's obvious that the DOJ is going after Comey is simply because Donald doesn't like him. Please take a second and like and share this video. It'd be awesome if you could subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please follow us and give the show a 5-star rating because it really does help other people find our content. Thanks.